Hello once again, welcome to the Premier League program where we go overtime on all news and analysis and everything you need to know about the Premier League. Of course, Sam Tugwell here on the desk, and alongside me as he is each and every week, the great man himself, Doug McDonald-Taylor. Welcome back, mate.
Thank you, Sam. Good to be here for another week, and great week to be an Eagles supporter this week, Sam, with the Eagles men up and about, getting a couple of important wins heading into finals. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
There's quite a lot of Eagles games to go over because they played numerous ones on the weekend. We've also got a lot of news, and inside, I guess, we're going to look at the run home in terms of a lot of sides with a lot of congestion in the top five and a couple sitting outside as well, which will be looking to play finals this year. Later on in the show, we'll take a look at whether your side or not can make the finals this year. So we'll dive into that soon. But first, we'll dive into the round 16 results. And look, 2 wins for North Adelaide on the weekend when they visited Central Districts. They'll be happy people up there at Hillcrest. We almost saw one of the biggest upsets of the season, Doug, with the Eastern Mavericks getting within 4 points of the Norwood women. That was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was impressive. Almost got away with one there. But Norwood just held on, keeping their top spot secure.
The Sturt Sabres women found a way to silence the Tigers in a 7-point win at Pasadena. That keeps them right in contention for top 5 as well. The Woodville Warriors enjoyed a couple of wins against the Panthers. But first we'll get stuck into the Sturt Sabres and the Southern Tigers. A very big night indeed, that one. And Sturt really have closed the gap on the top 5 spot at the moment. The 5 and 6 were a little bit of a gap apart for a while there, but now it's a lot closer with that win for Sturt, and they're looking to leap into that finals picture big time now. And look, a 76-69 win over the Tigers. Some may or may not have expected that one to happen, with Southern, I think, winning 9 of their last 10 prior to that game, and they were looking very, very good. But look, McKendrick and Robinson with most of the points, but at the end of the day, no one really could get going.
Yeah, look, this is an upset for mine, Sam, definitely. Going in, I thought the Tigers would get this one. But great game from Sturt. Jay Johnson, 16, led the way with 16 points and 8 boards. Caroline Burgess having a solid year again, 11 points and 12 boards. And Hatchard off the bench, Sam, 22 points and 10 boards. Like you said, Tara Robinson and Molly had good offensive games, 23 and 18 respectively. But they used their size. But what was interesting is the Tigers actually won the boards quite convincingly, and Sturt's come away with the win. So, that was an interesting stat. 10-point winners. They've closed the gap, and they're right in the hunt. And the Tigers women now, probably, it's getting pretty close for them. And I thought they were home. I thought they were home in the finals, but they might be a chance to fall out.
It's a bit shaky up there. The women's, there's so many sides that are potentially going to make their way into that side, into that top 5. You just wonder, you just need to make sure you win every single game now from now on to actually stay in there. So it's very competitive. We'll have a look at the men's game as well. Sabres took on the Tigers also, and that game blew out to a 15-point lead in the opening quarter, which you don't see very often. But the Tigers made sure that they got themselves off to a good start. But then it turned out to be quite a good game. Sturt pulled back the margin in the third quarter to have the scores all square, and you just would have thought, well, wow, what a comeback this would have been. But the Tigers made sure that was the end of the day for the Sabres as they got across the line. Doug, what did you take from this one?
Oh, look, great fire back from Sturt, but you'd expect that. They're not the sort of type of club that's going to roll over. But giving up a big lead like that, it takes a lot of energy to get back in it and to square it away. And by using all that energy, the Tigers were able to regroup and come home strong in the fourth. But behind Starling and Creek, 63 points between them, Sam, and over 20 boards between them as well. John's chipped in with 10. There wasn't a lot of help other than that. It was just the 2 big guns really getting it done for them. But similarly with Sturt, they didn't have too many helpers for Johnson either on the weekend. He had 25, which is a big game from him. So the stars stepped up in the big games, which is what we want to see. But I think what it will come down to in these finals type games and into the finals is, we expect the stars to step up like they do. But I think it's the support casts that are probably going to be the difference in these games. It's the teams that have their role players and their second tier players playing well. I think that will determine who gets this championship, and the teams that can have their support players playing well consistently will be the difference.
It's going to be very interesting indeed to see how they continue to play out. West Adelaide and Forestville is the other set of games that happen on Saturday night. And look, the women's, the Bearcats, brilliant once again, continuing to play some great basketball, this time knocking off the Eagles, who have now lost 4 in a row at that stage anyway on Saturday night. And Ashley Vordermeyer enjoyed 25 points for herself. And West basically set the tone very early with a nice first quarter lead of 26-13.
Yeah, big first quarter, that set it up for them. Ashley Vordermeyer is having a great year, 25 points on the weekend. She missed a couple of games during the season, and West really struggled when she was out, so she's an extremely important player. Sezevic and Campbell chipped in with 12 each. Olivia Thompson, 20 and 11, and Sam DiFrancesco, 18. But they're missing the third part of the big three. Morgan Yeager, she's gone off to college, so they will not have her for the remainder of the season, the Eagles. They've lost 4 on the trot without her. And that's a huge dent to their finals aspirations, Sam, which is disappointing because that young Eagles group was flying this year. They were probably doing better than most people expected. They were playing an exciting brand of basketball. They haven't been able to cover her as of yet. They've had 4 games to try and do it. So they've got some tinkering of their lineup to do to try and cover her leading in the finals. First they have to make sure they get there, Sam. But big win. Westies on a roll, and you'd have to say that they are now a contender. I mean, their last 2 months have been fantastic. They've taken it to the best teams. That's a big win against the Eagles. They're taking care of the bottom teams. So they are well in the mix for this championship now, Sam.
And how exciting is that to think that a side that probably wasn't in the top 4 or 5 sides to start the year have blossomed the way they have. So we'll take a look, of course, in the later half of the show in terms of where both the Eagles and the Bearcats probably sit in terms of the top 5. But as well, the men's game was very, very important indeed. A 35-5 first quarter, though, I guess stunned the home crowd. The Eagles got off to an absolute flyer, and as Doug mentioned off the top of the show, it's a good week to be an Eagles fan, especially if you're a men's fan, because they did a very good job. And basically, Adam Doyle's men just went marching on to a very comfortable victory.
Yeah, this was the biggest game of the year for both these two teams. West needed to get it to stay in the hunt. Eagles needed to get it to close the door and secure their final spot. It was interesting. I was talking to Toddy Grokey, the assistant coach of the Eagles, and he said a couple of weeks ago when they lost to the Tigers, it was probably the worst basketball he's ever seen a Forrestal men's team play. But he said this first quarter, 35-5 against West, who are a strong team in their home court. He said that's probably some of the best basketball he's ever seen an Eagles men's team play. So if they can just find that consistency a little bit better, they'll give it a shake. But huge game from Adam Doyle, Sam, 28 points. Kyle Howard-Tapine, who's having a fantastic year with 15 points, and Trent Folds chipped in with 11. These guys, they lost the boards pretty convincingly, as you expect with Blake Truslove in the middle there. He had 18 boards himself and 18 points to go with that, so he had a great game, as you expect, against the smaller Eagles. But not enough contributors for him. Perkins chipped in with 17, as did a young Spear as well, but it wasn't enough. First quarter, way too damaging. Westies couldn't get back into it. They had an okay last quarter, but it was already gone. And huge win for the Eagles. Final spot, and they're rolling on. Pretty happy.
He is a very, very happy man, as you can tell, with the smile on his face. And of course, Sunday, round 17 kicked off, because we're actually midway through round 17 as we speak. So Sunday afternoon, that got started, and the Forestville Eagles again played another set of round of games, and they took on the Woodville Warriors this time at Wayville Stadium. And the women, as we just spoke about before, finally getting that four-loss streak completely obliterated, and they scraped together a win only just, though. The Woodville Warriors weren't too strong this year. They haven't been too good, but on the Sunday they came to play, and the Eagles just got across the line in a 1-point match, 75-74. A strong last quarter comeback from the Warriors too, but the Eagles, who are pressure-ridden at the moment, I think it was massively important they got that win.
Yeah, a win couldn't have come soon enough for the Eagles. As we said, 4 on the trot slide, so they needed to bounce back, and they've just gotten over the line here, Sam. Important win. Olivia Thompson, 24 and 12. Another 3 votes, you would think, for the Halls medal there, Sam. And Juliet Gordon coming into the starting lineup, 16 and 8, Sam. She was averaging 4 points per game leading into this game. So, like we said, they needed to tinker with their lineup a little bit. They needed some people to step up, and they found that in Gordon. this week. So hopefully that can continue for them, because they definitely, Olivia Thompson and Sam Di Francesco definitely need some help, and they got it on the weekend, albeit they only just still got over the line. But Woodville, they're just playing for pride at the moment. They would have loved to get that one for a bit of morale, but it wasn't to be, and Eagles stay in the hunt.
Adam Doyle and the men as well had a win, which was very, very impressive too. Brad Hayden as well was instrumental in that win. They upset the Woodville men, who I guess you could say are probably, one of the powerhouse sides. They came to play as well, the Eagles, and managed to get up a very close game in the end. Not a lot separating the teams either. A couple of points of difference, but a huge last quarter, should I say, from the Eagles is basically what got them across the line here, Doug.
Yeah, big last quarter, which is important because their last quarters have been pretty average this year, the Eagles. They've faded away in a few games. So to hold tight in the fourth quarter is great for them and heading in the right direction. Dawley leading the way again. Brad Hayden can smell finals. He's starting to get a few more shots up and get himself ready for the finals. And look, they were winning underdogs, absolutely. But that's if they hadn't cemented their final spot after the West win, they certainly did after this one. So the boys would have been pretty happy with that. Kirksey leading the way for the Warriors, 26-9. No Darren Eng, which definitely helped the Eagles. Haven't heard if he's injured or not yet, so we'll stay tuned there. Big Stan, 14-12. He was big inside, and once again the Eagles got done on the boards. They lost the boards by 12, but still managed to find a way to win, which is it's hard to do, and especially twice in one weekend. So, they definitely have a deficiency in the big end department and in rebounding, but they're finding ways to win and against good teams at the moment. So, if they keep doing that, anything's possible for the Eagles boys. So, great win.
Lots of luck going their way, and as we take a look at the ladders, we're going to do that now because we are midway through round 17. Most teams, of course, have only played 16 games, but only the couple extra, the one more for Forestville and Woodville. And we're looking at the women's first. West originally were in third place before the Eagles got that jump with the extra game played on Sunday. So now West are fourth, but of course next weekend they can try and bump themselves back up with a win. Southern's loss now puts them into fifth spot after being second, Doug. That was quite a big slide after being second in last round. And that allows North into the 2 spot, and that's pretty impressive. So, we've got a very, very tight women's ladder at the moment, and is making things very hard in terms of jostling around in there.
Yeah, it's very tight. Look, you've got 2 games separating second to sixth, Sam. So with 5 games to go, or 4 for some teams, it can go either way. And the run home is going to be, which I'm assuming we're about to look at pretty soon, is going to be very tricky. Yeah,
we'll look at the men's ladder just quickly, and then we'll hop into the run home because. The men's, not a lot has changed since, but Forestville's 2 wins on the weekend and Sturt's single loss has helped the Eagles jump into 4th spot. So I've just jumped up 1, swapping with the Sturt Sabres there. But of course, as we all know, the extra game back on the weekend for Sturt, as Forestville doesn't play, that can potentially flip back again. So we'll see how that goes on the weekend. But Doug, this is one part of the show we haven't done all year, and we were looking forward to all year, I guess, is the run home and looking at who will and who won't make finals this season. It's a very a tricky one because there's still 5/4 games left for some sides, and a lot of teams. Very, very tough to differentiate in a lot of positions. Now, we've come up with a bit of a run home win-loss sort of setup and see who's going to get the wins and who's going to lose, and then have a bit of projected ladder, I guess, at the end to see who is going to make it or not. Look, I'll basically start us off. We'll get stuck into the men straight away. The 4 teams on the screen there, Woodville, Forestville, Sturt and West, are the 4 teams in the men's competition at the moment, which are most likely to try and push for one of those spots in the between 3rd and 6th spot. That's going to jostle a fair bit because of how close they are. We would assume that I think Southern and Norwood have pretty much got the top 2 stitched up at the moment. I would say you'd agree there, Doug?
I'd agree with that, absolutely, Sammy.
So Southern and Norwood. Southern, I've got them down for about 5 wins in a row, I would have thought. Norwood 3-2. We'll have a look at who they're going to potentially lose to here in a moment. But look, straight off the bat, Woodville, they got 2 home games at the end of the year. They're only going to lose to Southern. I would have thought they're going to go 3-1 for me, I think, in the next couple of rounds. They've already played Forestville, but their next 4 games, I would have thought they'll probably only lose to Southern at Morphett Vale because that's one of their away games. Do you think that's probably fair enough?
That's pretty fair. You've got Sam, and we might differ a little bit here. You've got them losing. You've got them beating Norwood, and I think Norwood might get that one.
Okay.
I think Jacob Holmes will make sure Norwood get that win.
It's a tight one. They're both very close, but I guess in a way, if you give Norwood the win to Woodville, it also gives them an extra bump up. Even if you lose to Woodville, Norwood still sit in the second spot anyway. So
right.
I guess you give them a bit of the benefit of the doubt there too. Forestville then also, they're 11-6 this season. I think they'll go 3-1 in the next 4 games as well. They've only got 1 home game though, Doug, and they'll still probably win 3 games to my liking. They play Centrals, Eastern and South Adelaide in there. Their probably only loss will go to Sturt at Pasadena, you would have thought?
Yes, definitely. Well, they should definitely get those first 3, and then the Pasadena game is going to be epic. They could well play each other the very following week as well in the finals. So, look, my heart says the Forest will get that one and push for a 3rd placing. But they've lost to them twice this year. They haven't quite found someone to combat Johnson. So you probably have to lean towards Sturt. But that's a huge game.
That Sturt Forestville game actually will be on Austral Sports at the end of the season as well. So looking forward to that game, covering that one at Pasadena. Speak of Sturt, they I think will go 4-1, Doug, in their last 5 games. That is a big surge home. They got 4 home games on the trot too, going toward the finals, which is huge. They should beat Forestville at home, I think. That's my call. Obviously, that would be Forestville's only loss. So Sturt to get up at home. But I think Sturt's only loss will perhaps be to Norwood in their only away game. That'll be at Mars, and I think that might just be a bit too difficult for them.
Yeah, once again, another cracking game and could help shape the 5. I think I'll go with you, Sam, as well. I think Norwood will get that one. I think they're going to come home strong. But, look, could go either way, but we'll go with Norwood. So, yep.
No worries. Well, let's go on to West Adelaide then. 3-2. For me, I think they'll get 3 of their wins out of the 5. They've only got 1 home game as well, and that's against Eastern Mavericks. And regardless where that's played, I would have thought West would get up. They're too strong of a side. They're currently in 6th spot, but with 3 wins, might it be enough to get in? Who knows? We'll have a look at the ladder in a minute. But I think West, they're going to play Southern, they're going to play Norwood, and they're both away from home. For me, they're not quite strong enough to take them on there.
Yeah, they're probably not going to get those games, and even if they get 1, and if they could win all 5 and still not make it, Sam. They've already lost 8. Sturt, Forestville, they've lost 6. They're probably only going to lose maybe 1 game each max, which will get them to 7 losses. So Westies, unfortunately for them, I think they're done, mate.
Well, having a look at the projected ladder from those predicted results. That's basically what's going to look. And like you said, with West Adelaide potentially not going to be strong enough to make the 5, that is probably most correct, with still quite a lot of wins out from that 5th spot. So there's your projected top 5, the potential finalists for the men's competition at least. The Southern Tigers and Norwood Flames sitting up the top. Woodville, Forestville and Sturt all playing for those 3rd, 4th and 5th positions. At that stage. So that's the men's competition, Doug. And look, if you thought that was tightly contested, let's take a look at the women's competition, because this is just messy. This is one competition you don't want to get too close. You don't want to look too closely at, because I have been for the last couple of hours and my brain is mush. This is ridiculous. Look, North Adelaide. Oh, well, let's just start from the top. Norwood, for me, they should win 5-0 with 4 home games as well. Their only away game is against the Southern Tigers. That's probably their danger game, but at the end of the day, even if they lose that, they're pretty safe at the top with either 19 or 20 wins. So let's put that in the books. But these are the sides, of course, the run home for the teams between 2nd and 6th. North Adelaide in 2nd spot currently. They've got 3 home games, and they currently have the upper hand over Southern. I reckon that'll probably be a win for them. We spoke to Molly McKendrick just the other week about how they have struggled to try and beat them this year. So potentially another win for North there. We're going to scratch that one in. And West Adelaide at home, that could be tight as well. But we're going to give that to them. So North for me, not to lose a game before the finals.
Yeah, look, they've got a really tough run home with Sturt, Westies and the Tigers. But yeah, we're predicting them to win all them, and they deserve that prediction. They've been really tough all year, and they'll be ready come the business end, and getting second spot is huge, Sam. I mean, double chance, home final, and so yeah, I'm happy to back them in for 5-0 on the way home.
They've been round the mark for a lot of years now, so and with I guess a bit of youth as well. Opal Maida, Sarah Ellsworthy as well, playing very well for them, so that'll definitely help them through to the finals. Forestville is the next team on the list. Look, this is very generous, I guess you could say, but looking at the lineup, 4-0. That's what I've got ahead of me. They managed to get past Woodville, and now if they're good enough, they should close this out. Their only challenge will be Sturt playing at Pasadena in the last round, but they've got Centrals, Eastern and South Adelaide in their sights. You would have thought the Eagles, if they're good enough, can close this out.
Yeah, look, they'll get Centrals. Eastern, a danger game for them because they've actually played pretty well against the Eagles this year, and with Morgan definitely out, but the Forest, they should get that one, and they should get the South game as well. So, I'll definitely give them 3 wins, and that last game against Sturt's going to be once again a huge game because Sturt's going to be trying to get in. The Eagles are going to be trying to hold their spot. So it's going to come down to that. You've given them 4-0. I'll probably go 3-1. I think they'll probably drop that last game, Sammy.
That's fair enough too. West Adelaide is the next team off the rank. 2 and 3 for me. I feel like they're going to drop off towards the end because they've got a tough run home. And look at the first 3 rounds coming up. They've got themselves Southern, Norwood and North Adelaide. Look, Southern beat them at Port Adelaide this year, so for them to travel to Morphett Vale, we can't expect them to get the win there. So there's loss number 1. Then they take on Norwood and, of course, North Adelaide. Look, this probably should be a little bit too difficult to get the win, especially away from home. It just probably isn't doable for the Bearcats at this stage. But then after that, Centrals and East, they're 2 wins you would have thought you can lock down, and heading into the finals, if they get in, of course, when we look in a moment, that should be a nice little momentum boost.
Yeah, they'll definitely get those last 2 going into finals. And look, they're playing well enough. And like I said earlier in the show, Sam, I think they're a championship contender. Look, Tigers, Norwood and Rockets, they'd go into underdogs in all those games, absolutely. But I reckon they'll win one of them. I'm not sure which one, but they're playing good enough basketball. They'll go into all those games confident that they can get the win, and I think they'll come away with one of those wins. So I think they'll probably go 3-2 and cement their place in the final, Sam. But look, certainly don't blame you for going 2 and 3 because they'll be going underdogs into all 3 of those games.
It should be very exciting indeed. They are one of the teams to watch, especially heading into the next 5 rounds. The Southern Tigers, we spoke about them earlier. They've slipped from 2nd to 5th spot, but don't let that the ladder position deter you from thinking that they're a very strong side. They've got West, Woodville and Centrals coming up. I've got them locked down for wins, but like you said, one of those games, West Adelaide, that game is probably one that you could throw either way. After that, though, they got North Adelaide and Norwood as well. Just before finals, I think that might just dent their armour a little bit because I reckon they could just get the wins. But if the Tigers are strong enough and they can get a couple of extra wins across against those big teams, that'll mean a lot.
Yes, definitely. They've got a tough run home, don't they? It's finishing with North and Norwood. It's great. It's almost like the finals has already started a few weeks out. But after their loss on the weekend, you have to think they'll probably drop the North and North games. So I think you're right there, and I think we'll see them sneaking into the finals. But I don't think we'll see them with a double chance, Sam.
That'll be very good, and that means, of course, without the double chance, it's going to be really intriguing to see how some of those teams, like West and Southern, will go because they're just as good as probably North and Norwood if they were to cement the top 2. But anyway, we'll move on to Sturt, who are currently sitting outside the 5. But look, 8 of their last 9 games have been at home at Pasadena. Can you believe it? So the fixturing is crazily in favour of Sturt in the last half of the season. They'll be loving this. But look, their run home, of course, North and Forestville and Norwood are 3 games that are going to be very tough to play. You wonder whether they're strong enough to actually beat them because, I mean, yes, they're part of this congested group that could make the finals, but at the same time there is a big gap between sitting 6th with a record of, I think it was about 10 wins, and then Norwood and North Adelaide, who have a lot more at the very, very top. I just don't know if they've got enough to beat those elite teams.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight for Sturt. The next 2 weeks will set up for them. They've got Norwood and North. Basically, they need to win one of them if they need to play finals, because they'll get the 2 following that, and then they'll finish with Forrestal, which they definitely need to win. But they need to. You've got them as 2 as 3. They need to go 3 and 2, Sam, if they're going to, or even 4 and 1 if they want to play finals. So they need to get one of those Norwood and North games. And so massive 2 weeks for the Sturt girls, and after a good win against Southern, why not? Why can't they be them? Norwood only just beat Eastern on the weekend, so they'll know that. So big weekend for Sturt. They got to knock off this Norwood team and to improve their chances. But you have to back against that happening. So they might be the unlucky team that misses the 5, Sam.
Well, if we look at the projected ladder, you would be absolutely correct. But of course, just one win to swing the other way. I mean, the Forestville game, like you were speaking about earlier, if that was to go Sturt's way, they would then have 13 wins on the board, and that would throw a whole bunch out. So this women's competition, I mean, 1 or 2 games just have to go a different way, and that ladder is completely thrown out the window. So that is what, if we were to be very, very, very good at predicting who was to get there, that's what it would look like. But as we all know at basketball, and all sport is very funny in terms of what happens on the day. Anything can happen. So we'll see if that is correct or not heading into the final series. But that's what we've got predicted, and that's what we reckon will be a very interesting run home indeed, with quite a few rounds to go. And I guess we better get looking at round 17, which is the round we're midway through at the moment. We've got 4 games to go, and it all starts on Saturday with the South Adelaide Panthers, Central Districts Lions. That's over at Marion. And then, of course, Mars Stadium, Norwood taking on Sturt. That's going to be an absolute cracker, as is the Southern Tigers and West Adelaide Bearcats at Morphett Vale. These are going to be absolute belters. And then Austral Sports will be covering on the Sunday afternoon the North Adelaide Rockets and Eastern Mavericks. So that's going to be a very good weekend of basketball, would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait for the Jacob Holmes and Johnson match-up for the North Flames and the Sturt. And like we said just before, same game for the girls. That's a huge one for the Sturt girls. If they get that, they're right. They're right in the mix. Then you got the Southern West double headers, probably my next favourite, both in the men's and the women's, but particularly in the women's, Sam, because they 2 teams that desperately need that win. Both in the 5 at the moment, desperately want to hold on to their spot, and not only that, try and go for that double chance. So. Big weekend of basketball, Sammy.
Absolutely huge, and it only gets bigger and better over the next few weeks, so make sure you're tuning in to all of the coverage here on Austral Sports, and of course here on Premier League Overtime each and every week, because it's only getting better. So we look forward to your company. Doug, of course, thank you very much for coming along.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and get out to a game this week, and we'll be along next week to talk all about it.
Absolutely, we will. So we'll catch you next week on another episode of Premier League Overtime. Thank you for your company once more, and we'll catch you next week.